Welcome to the Third Row Tesla podcast. My name is Safyan Farval. This is our 12th episode of the Tesla podcast, the Third Row Tesla podcast. And we have a very special guest today. I'm going to introduce our crew. So today we have we got a full crew today. So we've got Galileo Russell from Hyperchange.
Yo.
We got Kristen, K10 on Twitter.
Hi.
And then we got Viv.
Hey.
And then we got Vincent Yu.
Hi.
And then we got Omar Kazi.
Boom.
And then we've got our special guest. We've got Frunk Puppy himself, Earl Banning. How you doing, Earl?
Oh, I'm doing great. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
That's a pleasure. Yeah, we're so happy you could join us as well. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about a little bit about the truths about Tesla with a focus on safety. And then, of course, Earl, we're going to find out a little bit about him and his background and how he got into Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, probably like everybody else, just kind of caught in the news a little bit over time. You know, this Elon Musk story, the Model S, all that stuff. But cars that you think you would never own, just, you know, high prices and really neat. Maybe I could get that someday. But really got excited as they started to ramp up towards the Model 3, like a lot of people. All right, I'll put a down payment on that. And in the meantime, I test drove a Model X in New Jersey. I signed up, you know, and I was traveling, stopped through, and it was the first time I ever was in a Tesla and drove it. And oh man, I must have talked about it for 3 months straight, just about what a great experience it was. The big windshield. I tried Autopilot, the doors, the whole thing. So I was really hooked at that point. And then I was just waiting, putting my down payment down, and had to hope that they would actually make this car because, you know, it wasn't sure at the time if everything would go as planned. It was a big deal for them to kind of make this Model 3. So that was the start of it, at least. But it was around that time that I also bought stock. So I started to really follow the company back in 2016. Good time to buy. So not the best time, but, you know, looking back now, pretty good. So I started to follow the company a lot more. And then like everybody else, by May of 2018, I'd started a Twitter account just so I could stalk Elon and see what was going on because he would occasionally drop information on Twitter. So I needed to have that. And yeah, so that was kind of the start, at least, of Tesla and then getting onto Twitter as well.
Awesome. So did you reserve a Model 3 the very first moment it got announced? Or?
Yeah, before it rolled out.
Awesome.
I assumed I'd like it.
I think we all did.
Yeah, like I'll probably like that. I'll put some money down. So I didn't tell my wife though.
You didn't?
I waited probably like a year, and then I started to drop hints that maybe I'd want to get a Model 3. It didn't go well.
You're like, maybe can I keep my reservation and turn it into a real car?
Right. But I wore her down over time, and finally she said, okay, fine, you know, you can get your stupid Tesla, just get black. So I have a black Tesla.
But wait a second. So first of all, you weren't sure she wanted you to get a Tesla, but now she's taken you the Tesla, right?
It's really come a long way. So she drove it in the beginning when the 3 first came out and I got it. There weren't many around. She took it out once or twice. I still have a nice picture of her driving out. I was filming her and she was like flipping me the finger just, you know, because I was being irritating. But when you would take the car out at that time, people would stop you. They would ask things like, what is that? How do you charge it? And she didn't know anything about the car. So she would just like, I don't know anything about it. Leave me alone. So
she's like, I'll call Earl. Here, you can speak to him.
Right. So she had all these like crazy Tesla fans and just curious people asking about the car. So she didn't drive it for a while. And then a couple times on the weekends, I had the car blocking the driveway. So she had to take it. She was going places. Then it became a regular weekend car. And now that I'm away, forget about it. I mean, she texts me all the time, like, I can't drive my stupid car anymore, and, you know, I'm going to need to get a Tesla, so. But we'll see. I don't know what I'm going to do about that dilemma, but that's a good problem to have, I guess. But she really likes it. She renamed it, everything.
What'd she name
it? It's called Lindsay's Buddy.
Oh.
So it's not your car anymore.
It is not my car
it's
anymore.
Lindsay's Buddy.
It's Lindsay's Buddy. She took it down to get Hardware 3 in it, you know. So I haven't even seen that.
Wow.
So that means you got full self-driving and the full package and everything, right?
Yeah, I needed my car to do all this stuff. That's just the way it is.
So thinking about like the safety aspect, and you have 2 girls, right? You have 2 kids. So like your wife taking the car and taking the kids out and going places. I mean, to me that's one of the major motivators, like why I would be really happy with my wife taking my car, right? Actually, it happened to me. I had an S and then I got a 3. The 3 was going to be for Shelly, but she loves the S so much she just kept it. So I was like, that's fine. They're both extremely safe, So I think when our family members are driving our cars and passengers, it's what we want.
I feel better when I'm driving the car with my family in it because I use, Autopilot, and I just feel like it's a safer car in general. And we take long trips sometimes. We still go up to Minnesota where my wife's family's from, and we take her SUV because we have the dogs and everything. It's a long drive. I complain the whole time. She says I'm really elitist because I'm complaining about things like steering and hitting the brakes and all that stuff that
Well, it's also stopping at the gas station. That's got to be pretty annoying,
stopping
right?
at the gas station all the way up. It costs a fortune. I complain about it. But you notice you get tired, and there's a lot that goes on, hours and hours of driving that you just don't have in the Tesla. So I feel like even with the safety functions on, I'm more aware of what's going on. I'm more relaxed. I'm not, stressed out and tired. So, I think it's a much safer experience.
Yeah, I think Viv made a great video about the safety a little while ago. And yeah, Viv, how did you make that video? What sort of stuff did you use to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I just used the crash test footage from various crash agencies, or test agencies, and just put it together. The original idea was to kind of just put them all together so I can share it on Twitter, and not share 6 different videos. But then I was like, maybe, this is one major selling point. This is why people get a Tesla, because it's safe. So why not make it into an ad? So yeah. And then I kind of thought, well, it's not just the hardware that's safe, it's also the software. Autopilot makes driving so much safer that, it's really both the hardware, the car, and Autopilot that makes the Tesla such a safe experience. And turn that into this little video, which in hindsight is kind of it could have been better, but yeah.
No, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Especially when Elon retweets it and then millions of people see it. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And it's kind of interesting when you look at the beginning, the early Model S videos. The first thing they were talking about was safety when they unveiled the car. Every car unveiled, the first thing they were talking about is safety. And you don't traditionally think about that as a selling point. It's not really, sexy, something that you use to sell cars, or it wasn't traditionally before. But Tesla really embraced that and made that a selling point in a way that few other cars have.
I remember reading this Morgan Stanley report that said that they were talking about Tesla, and it said that safety was the number one reason people buy cars, or that's the number one factor people look at. And I had never thought of that before. So I don't know if that's actually legit or not, but I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, wow, okay, it kind of makes sense why. Because even in the Model 3 unveiling, like you were saying, Omar, they also started with the first thing we decided is how can we make this the safest car possible for you and your family?
Yeah. And it's really interesting because you don't see it pushed as a selling point. You don't see safety really being advanced in radical ways, even though it's actually the number one thing people care about is, am I and my loved ones safe? And there's 2 really important aspects to it that Viv hinted at. There's the actual hardware that's safer, because on an electric vehicle, you don't have an engine. So instead of a big metal engine that's going to get pushed into the cabin in a crash and potentially injure you, you have essentially a giant trampoline, which is just going to take the force and just absorb all the impulse. and really protect you from a crash. And that's why you see so many people walk out of crazy crashes just unscathed. And then the other aspect of it is the active safety features, things like autopilot, but even automatic emergency braking, that tree that fell and, the Model X just stopped. These are all autopilot derived features. So they really took the hardware and the software. And you've seen attacks on both sides, people attacking the hardware, people attacking the software. But it's amazing because they're just so far ahead of everybody else when it comes to safety, I think. And that's probably why they're getting attacked.
Yeah, I was on the site and I was reading that the Model S, X, and 3 achieved the lowest probability of injury for the vehicle tested, or for all the vehicles tested by the U.S. government New Car Assessment Program. But it said the battery rigidity of the floor is probably a big plus for why the cars are so strong, because most cars don't have that strong, rigid floor.
Yeah, not just rigidity, but the low center of gravity, the weight reduces the possibility of rollover as well. So with all Tesla vehicles.
Yeah, like have you guys seen that video where they try and roll over a Model X? They're just like...
So heavy.
Yeah, it's just impossible because they've got this, having a big battery in the floor is actually a great structural element. It keeps the body rigid. If there's a side impact, that battery really helps you keep the body intact instead of, you saw that video of like a Lexus where it just completely dents into the car. That doesn't happen with a Tesla. No rollover, large crumple zones. In terms of the hardware, just miles ahead of anybody else. And that's why you see 5-star safety ratings everywhere.
There was actually this Model X accident where the Model X was torn in half. And the driver just had a minor injury to his leg. So that was all. He just pretty much walked away. And the car was literally in 2 pieces. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think Omar make a really good point about Tesla. All the EVs doesn't have the engine. So we have all the batteries just laying flat at the bottom. So the weight distribution is really good. It's so balancing out. So get you a really good handling. Yeah, I think that plays a...
And also another thing about the frunk is we can do frunk puppy with it, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's actually, maybe you should need to clarify about frunk puppy because some people might get the wrong idea.
Oh yeah, I've had that come up too. So, frunk puppy's pretty clear, and I have a video I share on my Twitter sometimes.
Yeah, maybe I'll play it in our podcast. Yeah. Okay,
that would be awesome.
Sure.
They did a great job, unscripted, for real. My daughter just went off about ice cars. It was pretty great.
Every Friday, you would stick your dog in a frunk, but it can't be a gas car because if you stick your dog in a gas car, that doesn't make sense.
I guess she hears me complain, but all you need to do is take your dog, put it in the frunk, take a picture, post it with hashtag Frunk Puppy
But
Friday.
not while you're driving,
that's
everybody,
it.
Okay? Parked.
Well, I have gotten messages like that, so I'll post a picture, and then I should have saved these tweets. It's something like, you monster, what kind of person puts dogs in their frunk and drives around? You're really grossly missing the
that wouldn't be very safe.
of what you're supposed to do. It would be totally different. But yeah, that's it. But we also have... not all dogs want to get in the frunk. So if they're just near a Tesla, in a Tesla, by a Tesla, even an EV, any EV, we'll count those two and vote on them. But
or other animals too, cats and lizards and all sorts of crazy stuff.
There's been cats.
I put my cat in a box in the frunk. Then it was happy.
Yeah, there's been a calf in there. There's been.
So we got Rivian's got a good frunk, right? Does the Taycan have a frunk?
A little one. I can't tell from the pictures how shallow it is.
Might not be dog sized.
Yeah.
What about the e-tron? Does that one have a frunk? No?
I don't think it does.
Yeah, always a bummer when they don't have a frunk. It's like, come on.
I know, it's pretty surprising.
Just missed out on a huge marketing opportunity.
The Bolt does, Gally?
The Bolt doesn't. I saw the 2020 Bolt in Austin, and they had all these tubes and wires in the front. I have a video about it too, but I was like, no frunk? What?
I mean, that's just the thing about design. When you've been putting a bunch of junk under the hood for, 100 years, you make an EV, what do? You put a bunch of tubes in under the hood.
Yeah.
Like inertia.
But the great thing about the frunk too is that it acts as this massive crumple zone, right? Because if you, like you were saying, Omar, you don't have that big engine block. So it can be designed to compress and take all the energy, just like you said, Viv, when the whole front end was missing on that Model X. Well, that's where the energy went into this massive crumple zone, which is, perfect for when you're driving. And then when it's not in use, you can use it for your puppies.
That's true. Have we actually seen the Cybertruck's frunk yet? I don't think we've seen pictures of it, right?
No, there's one little picture that they put up like during the reveal.
Oh yeah, in like the little corner.
Yeah, it's like blurry, and it seems like it would be pretty big though. Like seeing that thing in person, there's a lot of area there. But yeah, we'll see.
Gotta have somewhere to put your puppies.
Yeah, yeah. You can put them in the bed. They have the side openings too in the back. There's places all over the place. Yeah, in the bed too.
There'll be puppy heads sticking out everywhere,
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's see. I'm just kind of curious, what other things do you tend to share about Tesla on a daily basis that, maybe people say things and you clarify? I saw a YouTube comment the other day about that EVs weren't as green as a gas car, or worse. They're worse than a gas car. So it's clarifying that. Just take some time. I mean, all these things out there. So I don't know, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great example. I think one I hear pretty frequently, even in person, is people ask about how you charge it, and then the next question is, how often do you replace the batteries?
Yeah,
like it runs out of batteries in a couple days or something.
Yeah.
And they don't understand when you say, well, actually, don't even think about that's not a thing. I mean, I guess eventually maybe you might, but it's not really. It'd be like asking how often you change the engine in your car. Like, yeah, eventually, maybe, but
someone was just asking me. They said, so when it runs out of battery, do you put the gas in now? And I'm like, no, it's just battery.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really funny one, that the battery is going to wear out and you're going to have to pay like $10,000 or something for a new battery. That's like, people say, oh, you save a lot of money not buying gas. And sometimes we hear people say something like that. Oh, well, when you have to replace the battery. And it's like, no, the batteries in the cars right now last for 500,000 miles, at least 300,000 miles. I mean, I'm at 52,000 miles in my car right now. It's maybe, lost 3 miles of range since I got it. The battery is very good. It's not, it's never been an issue where, I can't make a trip I used to make or something like that.
And Tesla warranty the levels of the battery too, right? For over a certain period of time, they guarantee that it'll be, I think, at least 85% over after 100,000.
I think it's like 120,000 miles or something. So
yeah.
That's the other thing is, like, if your battery has a problem and is degrading really fast, they'll give you a new battery. So it's kind of ideal. And the new batteries that they're working on are going to be certified for over 1 million miles.
Robotaxi miles.
And the interesting thing is, there was this video of Jeff Dawn talking that leaked. I don't know if you saw this, Scally. Did you get a chance to watch this before it got set to private?
No, a bunch of people were telling me about it, and then they're like, it got taken down. So I'm like, damn, must have been juicy. Like,
one of the interesting things that Don was talking about in this video is he said, hey, you can just put these additives in the electrolyte of the battery and the battery won't degrade as fast or not at all. So he's like, well, what do you add in to the electrolyte? Well, you basically have to test everything. And that's what Don's lab has been doing, is they've been taking these batteries and basically testing all these electrolyte additives. And then it's like, oh, just put a little bit of, manganese, or, it's not manganese, but something like that in the battery. And it'll just last for 1 million miles. No new chemistry, no, dry electrode needed. Just put some stuff in the electrolyte in the existing lines.
Coca-Cola.
So I think in Battery Day, we could maybe hear something that's like, these batteries we've been making, they're 1 million mile batteries, even with the old chemistry. So yeah, I think that's a really funny kind of thing. Like most people are not going to ever change their battery for the life of their car. The car will die before the battery.
That's a very biological thing. How our cells change out the electrolytes. That makes sense.
Well, I was just going to say that I think this most people's experience with batteries, so you get your phone, right, and it degrades over time, but people don't understand battery conditioning, that's part of the Tesla battery. It's,
right.
Just not
the
there
cooling.
that way. But yeah, and some other EVs have kind of skipped that step. I know that was an issue with the Leaf. They were losing a lot of range quick, but I've never owned one, but... Anyway, so that's one question. People ask if you can put it in the car wash. I don't know if anybody's gotten that too. Like they think you can't get it wet, which would be really inconvenient.
Yeah. Yeah, because people think, oh, it's an electric vehicle. Electricity and water don't mix. Therefore, I can't take it out in the rain. It's like, no. It's actually, you can use it as a boat.
Yep.
Yeah, we saw some videos going through some floods and stuff. That was cool.
Cost is a big one too, about, you plug it in at home. You talk about that convenience and they say, I bet your electric bill is tripled, no. it's 10 cents a kilowatt. I'm okay.
Yeah, plus the cost of electricity is way less than the cost of gas, per mile. If you effectively, it cost me about 3 cents per mile to drive my car with the fuel cost, right? You don't factor in,
Mm-hmm.
All the other expenses like the car payment, insurance. But if you do look at it over the long term, it's way cheaper. So, so many pluses there.
Yeah, and the other thing people say is, all my electricity is coming from coal. So
this is
gas car is actually cleaner. Well, no, your gas car is blowing the emissions into literally your kid's face, because like kids are shorter. That's literally kind of like where they're standing. The car's blowing exhaust into their face.
Especially those school buses with the diesel, engines, and the kids are waiting for the bus, and then the diesel buses are coming up. Oh, it's horrible.
If EVs just took the emissions out from blowing into your kid's face and moved it to a factory far away, that alone would be an improvement. But because EVs have regenerative braking, this is what people don't understand. EVs aren't cleaner because there's no emissions. They're cleaner and more efficient because they use regenerative braking. When you slow down, they recollect the energy that you spent to speed up, and they put it back into the battery. So Bloomberg found that, even if your electricity is 100% coal powered, which, by the way, nobody's electricity is 100% coal powered anymore. It's all very low emissions. Like here in California, more than 50% renewable.
Yeah, and the rate of coal is like just the grid's changing so quickly that like the percentage of the grid that's coal is just kind of like steadily in decline too, which nobody seems to care about. But
yeah, that's a great thing. And one day the grid will be 100% renewable, and your 2018 Model 3 can then also be 100% renewable. Plus, you get solar panels for $50 a month from Tesla, includes installation. That's another option too.
Yeah, I think the lease is like $65 a month, the smallest one, which I've actually got on my rental property, and that supplements the electricity for them. And it's way cheaper because now their tier that they go in the regular electricity level that they get from the grid is way lower. So the overall bill is ridiculous. But there's two other points I wanted to mention about the getting electricity, using electricity as a fuel, is the efficiency of the battery compared to a gas car. The gas car is like, I forgot the number, but it's probably like at least twice as inefficient, right? So if you go the same distance, the amount of energy you use is way more from the fuel source, and the pollutants a lot more. So even if you're powering off coal 100%, you're still going to be like on par with a gas car after like 2.5 years. I think Sam I Am or Tesla Sam or whatever his name is on Twitter made that video saying, it's like 2.5 to 3 years, even if you're powered by coal with a gas car, with an electric car. And then everything after that is, you're cleaner, tons less carbon emissions per year.
Yeah, I love to think
Yeah.
about the opposite sometimes too. Like if we had all EVs and then we had this new car that came out that blew poison in your kid's face, it would just really it would seem like a pretty big jerk. You know? Like, oh, don't stand too close. It will kill you, right? Don't park it in your garage with the door shut.
Yeah, it's just like we've learned to just accept this the way that it is, and it's the norm is it's killing us.
Yeah, it's just fine, right? Yeah, like school buses are a really good example too. They did a lot of testing in the buses and showed that they're not great. I'll post that on Twitter later, but it's not great to have your kids in or around buses, but we just seem to accept this.
And then we're parked in traffic and our air that comes in fresh is right at the tailpipe. We suck it right in unless it's recirculating.
For the person behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, screw them. Oh, one of the safety aspects that I thought of, and especially just being at the track recently, is how fast the traction control responds to an electric motor. So compared to a gas car, the gas car is so slow to do one combustion cycle. It's like hundreds of milliseconds to respond to a traction control response. So once you start losing traction, it's, you got all this delay involved. Whereas with an electric car, it's like, less than 10 milliseconds, probably like 2 to 5 milliseconds where the electric motor can respond. So you don't even feel the car sliding, but when it does, it can pick it up really fast. Like I did on I was live streaming from the track and it was fully sideways, it's just does exactly what you want. It's amazing. Have you guys experienced that when you lose some control and the traction control is just incredible?
Oh yeah, it's just amazing what this system can do. Just how fast, like sometimes I don't even know what's happening. Like I'm just driving on the highway really fast and I go over some water or something and you just feel like the brakes go like or something and you're like, I don't even know what happened, but I was like about to spin out of my lane and the car just kept me in my lane. It's really underappreciated actually.
Totally.
Yeah, hydroplaning.
Maybe you guys need to go to the track and experience it.
Sorry, we do. Ahead. We definitely need to go to the track.
So Earl, you said you have one of Elon's tweets on your mug or something?
I got that one where he said he missed me. And
actually, is that still your title, saying Elon missed me or something? Missed by Elon?
I think I took that off there. But yeah, I was one of Front Puppy board member, Space Penguin, or I forget her name, but Space Danny, Exhausted Space Danny. Yeah, sent me that mug, which was really nice. But that was definitely my favorite tweet. So I'm glad it's on a mug.
It's cool. I got to get one of those one day. Yeah. Viv, you got so many tweets. What would you put on your mug?
Oh, it's endless. There's so many.
You just need 10 mugs or something.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, come on. It has to be the OK Sure tweet where he invited us.
Yeah, I love it. That's sweet. Short.
It can't be anything else, to be honest. That was the best. How many letters? 6-letter tweet that I ever got.
That's my favorite tweet response to people now when they ask me something. I just like saying, okay, sure.
I still can't believe that even happened.
Did it really, though? Was it just simulated?
It was so crazy, though, because we were all preparing for just asking him personal questions. And we get there and he's just answering any question. We're like, have you started using cattle and LG chem cells and Gig of Shanghai? And he's like, oh, no. It's seriously? Should have thought of better questions to ask him.
No, I think we did great, and it's not going to be our last chance. So I think that, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah.
Oh, juicy. I had a thought about safety when you were talking about the track, the acceleration. So I had an incident with my car. I pulled out, and somebody ran a red light, and so I stepped on it, got out of the way, no problem. What happened with my Prius a couple of years ago, because it takes it a little while to get going. But I don't think I would have gotten in an accident, but it's definitely a feature that is helpful to have when you need it. That instant acceleration rather than the, car's got to get ready and cause an explosion or whatever it does to move forward. So,
yeah, I hate driving an ICE vehicle.
It's funny, Elon actually mentioned this as a selling point when he unveiled the Model S. He was like, you can get out of the way of the accident really quickly. I think they kind of moved away from that selling point over time because, like, I mean, if you think about it, the acceleration is like the most dangerous thing about a Tesla is how fast you can go. But the really cool thing is that you don't see in other cars is you've got speed limit mode, and you've got valet mode, and you've got obstacle aware acceleration and these features. So
chill mode as well.
True. And you can set, I don't have a son, but if you had a kid and your son is 17 and he's like, Dad, can I borrow your, ludicrous mode Model S? You're like,
Sure
all
can.
right,
Now it goes 40.
you can, but where are you going? You're just going around the corner. All right, well, I'm going to speed limit you to, 50 or something like that. And
yeah,
your kid can't go more than 50. You can do it right from the app.
Yeah. And that's not too far in the future when you will have full self-driving and then the car can just drive for your kid.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, sorry, the car's going to drive you.
Yeah, sorry, you're not allowed to drive.
Well, and you can see everywhere the car goes, too. So if the kid was in the car, you can say, oh, why are you over there?
And the speed. Yeah, on the app, you can see like the speed, location, everything. What I love also is you can see when they're accelerating and braking. So it shows you that indicator when someone's actually driving. Have you ever watched the app when someone else is driving your car?
No.
Yeah, you can actually see when they're accelerating and braking. It's really cool.
Did you do that when I borrowed your car?
Were you?
Oh, I had that like on a separate screen,
yes.
full time, like 24/7. Yeah, no.
That's hilarious.
That was funny though.
I don't know. I feel like I speed less, even when I had crappy Prius, because I'll just put it on autopilot and set it, and even if you're just not paying attention in a normal car, it'll speed up a little bit. But
I swear, I've never gone the speed limit in my life before I got a Tesla. Now I go the speed limit all the time because, autopilot on surface streets limits you to 5 miles over the speed limit. So that's a big reason to go the speed limit. If I have a choice between, if I'm driving, I'll probably be speeding excessively. But if I'm on autopilot, I'll go, the speed limit or 5 miles over. And I mean, in general, it just makes a lot more conservative driving choices.
No, you can pass people quick. Like you were saying, the torque is amazing. You don't sit and go, wait a second, do I have to time this? It's so quick. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a fluid driving experience. You're flowing. The car naturally is an extension of what you're thinking you want it to do. And it's actually doing it rather than like, any other car is sluggish and you just get annoyed.
Omar, you've driven an ICE vehicle, I'm assuming, since you've had your Model 3?
Only once. And it was like, I almost cried.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating.
Yeah,
it was a nice car too. It was a Mercedes-Benz E-Class. And man, it was just, the navigation was just a pain in the ass. Just figuring out how to just set the destination to the restaurant. That like made me want to cry. And then, just you have to brake all the time. Literally so much pushing the brake and just going back. It's really, it's like it's just a frustrating experience,
Yeah, definitely.
It's not
you
good.
Too. Vincent, you too? Like, you had Porsches, right?
Yeah, like when I'm driving my wife's SUV, like Omar said, like when you punch in the address from the tiny little screen, I was like, dude, I have to wear glasses, I can't see it. And with my big finger like tapping on the screen, I was like, is this the one I want to tap? So like in the Tesla, it's so easy with the voice control, just press and just say it and it will get you there. It's like so simple. Yeah, my wife can't wait for the Model Y, like she's asking me.
Do you have a delivery date, Vincent?
Not yet. Like I just keep checking the account. Like
what the hell? Email Elon.
Really?
You're like,
wait, what's the configuration? Dual motor, performance? What would you get for it?
Performance, yeah.
Oh, dude, you should be one of the first then.
And like with the recent track package, my Model 3 mid-range is not eligible to buy the package because it's for performance only. I was like, I should get a performance in the first place.
So you're going to trade your mid-range in for a performance 3 as well?
I'll see. I don't know. Yeah, if they come with some ludicrous Model 3, I'll get it.
Yeah, that's what I really want, 100 kilowatt hour Model 3.
Yeah, that's the one I'm
miles
waiting
of range.
For. Yeah. The track machine.
I feel like there's so much room for Tesla to sell these kind of like super performance, super high priced cars. Like I was talking to someone that they used to have like 150,000 Model S and X, and they kind of like don't have these super premium, like ludicrous mode, like spec'd out Model 3 for like 85 grand. Like I feel like just from a money making standpoint, like this is like, there's so much on the table. Like, and I think when they come out the Plaid Model S mode, like people like Soph are just going to be so OCD and need to have it that they're just going to sell a ton of them, even though it's like this much faster.
Dude, seriously, I want that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because in 2019, 2018, you really saw Tesla shift to the low cost models, and there was really this focus on, you know, the affordable models. That was, you know, Tesla's mission that they've been working on for 15 years, was to get the cars affordable enough that people could buy them. And there was so much focus on that. And a lot of people started looking at the business and saying, okay, well, you know, they're making these kind of low margin electric vehicles. Is this really, you know, a great business? And now that the pressure of that ramp is kind of lifted, Tesla's really getting back to their roots as a performance brand, doing things like Plaid, doing things like the new Roadster with 3 motors, the Model S with 3 motors. They're going to put it in the Model X too, doing things like the track upgrades for 3. And you saw people trying this saying, you know, I didn't think that a 3 could be that an electric vehicle in general could be a great track car. And they're just still defying those expectations like they have since the beginning. That'll be really great for margins as they push on performance. Like you saw a lot of 3, not a lot of S. When Plaid comes out, you're going to see a lot of sales of the highest range S, not even 100,000 over that. And similarly with the 3, if you want to buy this 3 for 60,000 and then 5,000 for the track package, they're going to make decent margins on that too.
I think they came out with the drift mode, right? They came out with the drift mode, yeah, recently.
Yeah, because I was just at the track on Saturday with the version 1 track mode, you know, getting the car fully sideways. I think I was live streaming it. I don't know if you guys saw it, but yeah, about 6 minutes in, I'm like fully like sliding it. And there's really no adjustment on it. You just got to go with whatever it's doing. But being able to dial that in, especially I think turn by turn would be sweet. Like let's say you could program in a whole lap of the ideal lap. I mean, maybe the car could figure it out with its AI, and then it just help you become a better driver as well.
Well, it's just the next step to what Elon was talking about with the Roadster, and how you're gonna wear some special suit or something with it. You remember that? It was like the driving experience was all going to be. So they'll get it off the screen and into whatever, the Neuralink or whatever they're planning, but something's coming.
Wow.
With that.
That would be really cool.
Guess. I was thinking too, Gally, you were talking about the $150,000 buyer. So now I guess they can get what, a Roadster and a Semi? Is that their price range?
I'm hoping the Plaid Model S will be like 150 grand or something crazy too, though, and Model X. But
yeah, I think it'll be at least over 120 to 150 seems like a safe bet, because Roadster is going to be 200K.
Right. Well, because it was 140 if you get decked out completely, you know, got every option with a ludicrous Model S or X. I think, X was more expensive. I think it was like 140 back in the day. So yeah, 150 is not far away from that.
Now it's hard to get to like 110.
Yeah. You know? Prices dropped so much. It's such good value right now for, 380 something miles now is the top range Model
390,
S.
I thought.
390?
390.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're almost at 400. Yeah. So it's going to be, over 400 pretty soon. And for the price, I mean, there's no other EV that compares to that. And we're going to be saying there's no other gas car eventually.
Yeah. These performance ones are actually such a good deal when you compare to the competition in performance.
Yeah, like the Roadster is going to compete with like these like $2 million supercars.
Like a McLaren.
In terms of performance. Yeah, and it's like
Bugatti or something.
What? Like
Bugatti, yeah.
I feel like Tesla's leaving money on the table. I'm like, charge $400,000 for the Roadster. Like, come on, like let's make some serious money on this.
No,
like,
don't do that. I don't want to be able to buy one. Yeah, because my Roadster isn't going to be free. I need to be able to afford it. Yeah. The Roadster, I got a little bit of a discount. Well, I got like 40% off, so I'm still going to buy it. But yeah, that's crazy. As for the referral prize, they don't give you the option to buy the base model. You have to get the Founder Series, which is $250K. Yeah,
dude, that's gonna be such a collectible car. That's gonna be like iconic. Like, yeah.
Earl, you I know you were trying to get one before they changed the rules, and you got a few referrals there, but you still gonna try to see if you can get one somehow?
My plan is to win one, so any week now, I'm sure I'll be sharing that. It's like one and whatever. I got it.
Well, yeah, they haven't announced any winners yet for Roadster, right? Just Model Y?
Yeah.
That's
Model
supposed to be
Y.
every quarter.
Oh my God. How amazing would it be to get that email? That referral email. Congratulations, you won a free Model Y.
Oh, I have something to bring up, actually.
So go ahead, Gally.
Yeah, one thing we were mentioning, like the safety, I feel like all the other car companies, like they kind of like check the boxes of like, oh, we're 4 stars in this category, 5 stars. And like they've kind of stopped improving, yet traffic and road deaths are the number one reason you might die if you're not sick or old. It's like I think it's like 30,000.
Number one killer of young people. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but all the car companies have stopped innovating and trying to fix that problem because they just are like, oh, we're like 5 stars. But Tesla seems like the only company who's actually like trying to make it safer and going above and beyond, all from hardware and software, and being like, how can we actually fix this? And I feel like that's kind of like, it's this just different mentality that Tesla has than anyone else. It's like, we're just going to keep getting better. And like, I don't know. I just feel like that's such a big difference. And I know other car companies seems to actually like really care about safety. They just care about like saying they're as safe as they need to be.
That makes so much sense with insurance, with them taking on their own insurance. Because if they're going to make safer cars, it makes sense that they would want to insure those cars as well. So I think that's a really smart move on their part. Also, I saw in, I don't remember what it was, but there was a list of like the safest cars that just came out. Did you see that? 15 safest cars or something that you can get, and there were no Teslas. It's probably all advertisements, but it is shocking. It's just shocking. Like, well, don't put in the cars that are the lowest probability of death. Just
Exactly. Well, from a third-party agency, from the NHTSA, right? When we took the data, the number one safest car was a Tesla, and then they fought that when Tesla said that according to your
Lowest
data,
probability of injury.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
Andrew,
they didn't
that's
like that
right.
Tesla said that because they're like, well, you're using our data. We didn't say that. And it was like, but the data says that. So
What they said was, we just give the stars. We don't comment beyond the stars. 5 star, 5 star.
Oh my God.
There's
And
no
if you want
about
to
that.
give the stars,
yeah,
You can never
and
have
then
a star ever.
yeah, and then Elon was like, "Well, it says here that this is the lowest probability of injury," and they're just kind of like, "No, we don't want people to like look into the numbers and try and interpret or whatever. We just the stars." But I think it's interesting because there's definitely an effort to change the narrative on Tesla safety. I mean, there's all these great safety features that if people knew about, they'd say, wow, this is really great for me, for my family. This is definitely something I want all my loved ones to be in. But there's a lot of people deliberately pushing out false information to make you think Tesla's unsafe, right? So, for example, not having gas is safe. It's not flammable. We talked about the crumple zones, all those aspects of the hardware that just make the EV safer. But, in the media, you see this focus on, EV fires, right? Like people want you to think that if you get an EV, you're going to, your car is just going to catch on fire suddenly while you're driving and you're going to die. even though the reality is an EV is a lot less likely to catch on fire than a gas car.
I think it's 10 times as less.
Yeah. But you see this misrepresentation. And it's a similar thing with Autopilot, right?
When there is something in the news, it's headlines because it is Tesla. And so they capitalize on Tesla being this new great company. But when something happens, so they make it seem like it's all the time, but it's just like a one-off. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Omar.
Yeah. I mean, that's so true. It doesn't make a headline if it's not a Tesla, right? If it's just, say, a Porsche or something like that, then it's just normal. Gas cars catch fire all the time.
I've seen two Ferraris burn before on the side of interstates. Yeah.
Just another car.
Well, and even the Taycan fire.
Oh, yeah.
In the articles, they had to talk about Tesla.
Yeah, right?
You can't just...
for the clicks.
Yeah, they begrudgingly cover it, and it's like, well, but let's talk about this Tesla.
No, my favorite thing was the day of the Taycan fire. Elon called Bill Gates underwhelming. He called his conversations with Bill Gates underwhelming because of, because he bought a Taycan. And that Taycan story
that was a big deal.
Made headlines before the fire, I don't think it would happen that way with Tesla, Imagine that a Tesla catches fire, and instead of Tesla catches fire being the headline is, Bill Gates calls Elon underwhelming. Or something like that. It's like someone criticizing Elon would not be a headline. That's just every day in Twitter.
Right. Literally. Multiple times. Yeah. All right. So should we go around to some closing thoughts?
Just on the topic of safety, it really kills me. Like, it just makes my heart hurt when I see people, saying, autopilot's going to kill you or a Tesla's going to kill you. Because I know that's not true. And, I've driven 52,000 miles on Autopilot. And this is a technology that if you're drifting out of your lane, it'll keep you in your lane. If you're about to hit someone, it'll sound an alarm and warn you so you can, not hit that person. Using computer vision to help drive the car, engineering the car to withstand crashes. They've done so much work to really make the car safer. It's good for you. It's good for your family. It's good for the people around you. And it's just really sad the way, people have kind of misrepresented some things. Somehow, the facts about this don't get out. I think if people knew the truth, they would find it really compelling. They wouldn't want to put their family in anything else. But because, there's kind of this dishonest narrative, a lot of people are afraid. They're afraid of autopilot technology that could actually make them safer, even if they're driving in manual mode. And, they're afraid of electric vehicles. And, it's really sad. I mean, people push out a lot of false information to try and help their short bets or whatever. But, when people's lives are on the line and you're pushing people away from a product that, could potentially save their life, that just really kills me, like, more than anything else. Like, I really do, it just makes me sad. So that's my closing thought.
All right. Thanks, Omar. You just got to get more referrals. Actually in the referral information, it says that one of the things it says, you could save your friend's life by giving them a Tesla, referring them to buy a Tesla. Literally says that. And it's true. Yeah. I mean, it sounds kind of funny, but you really think about it. Yeah. Do you care about your friends to be in the safest vehicle on the planet? Of course, or your family members. And for me, there's so many things, not just safety, but of course that relates to that. But there's so much information that's out there, and it's just a matter of just doing it with like a loving heart and explaining to people that this is the truth about Tesla. This is why we love this product, because it brings us so much joy, and it's guilt-free. We're doing this in a way that it's we're not hurting anybody, and we're actually doing the opposite. We're protecting. We're helping the environment. We're providing a safer means of transport for our friends and family, for ourselves. And that doesn't mean we can go crazy and drive like a maniac, but it just means that we can be in situations. When you're out on the road, you can't control anything else. You're only just controlling your own driving, but anything can happen. So you want to be in the safest vehicle possible. You want to be in the most enjoyable experience. Because for me, I drive a lot, and that's important to me. I want to be in the safest, most fun car I can possibly be, and to me, that's a Tesla. There's nothing else like it. There's nothing else as fun. So yeah, that's what I tell my friends and people I meet. They can see the enthusiasm is genuine. And just like I took a couple of random people with me in the car on the track, just one guy who'd never been in a Tesla before, and he works in the environmental stuff for Santa Barbara, and he felt bad driving a gas car. He's like, here I'm trying to save the environment, and then every day I'm spewing out these greenhouse emissions, these carbon emissions from the exhaust of my car. I want to get a Tesla. So he's like, yeah, I want to see if I can get a Tesla, but I also want to take it to the track. So that's why he was wanted to get a performance car. So I was like, yeah, come in, we'll go for a ride and you can experience it. So of course we did a whole session and he loved it. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to get one of these. So I think once people experience it, then they realize what it's all about. It's a no-brainer from then on. So it's, whatever persuades people to get a Tesla, knowing that they'll be in the safest car possible. I mean, they're going to win no matter what. So that's my closing thoughts. Thanks.
That's true. And I think like the closer we get to full self-driving, the safer driving in general will become. Like Omar said, like people think Autopilot is like this unsafe, dangerous software, when in fact it saved so many lives, right? And it prevented so many accidents. And I feel like just like the amount of times when I was driving your cars off and Autopilot reacted so much faster than I could have ever reacted, just because like the 8 cameras, the ultrasonic sensors, radar sees so much more and sees it so much quicker than I do. Like, I think it's actually like quite dangerous. Like Omar said, like when the media is pushing like this narrative of Autopilot being unsafe, they're putting people's lives in danger. Because like that will cause people to be like scared of Autopilot, and then they won't turn it on, and they will like, oh, maybe I die when I turn it on, and it's like not true. So maybe they will get in accidents that they wouldn't have been in if they had been on Autopilot. And that's what I think is really both sad and scary. And yeah, it's kind of really discouraging to see like the media putting profits and clicks over, people's lives, because that's what it essentially is, what they're doing. And yeah, I wish that would change, but I'm not really optimistic, unfortunately. But I hope that's like why I think we should, keep putting out these positive stories, like telling people about our positive experiences, and like try to, prevent people being scared of Autopilot, for example. Yeah.
Well, and what other company has 1 billion miles of real-world data that it's looking at all the time? And that it's sending out safety features and enhancements for the car after it's delivered. I think that's a big thing. Did you guys notice that Tesla is releasing its since October 2018, quarterly reports on safety and data? I think that's a pretty big thing. So people can go to the site and actually see what's going on and the safety with it.
We visualize it on hypercharts too. And
Nice.
you can like
That's
see
cool.
it over time. And like, yeah.
Yeah, that's
really
a cool
nice.
website you have, right? Hypercharts.
Yeah, and there's a whole page that's safety for Tesla, and it's exactly, we basically charted the reports that Tesla has that Kristen's talking about. So you can see like over time it getting safer, Autopilot versus the standard, like, and it's pretty clear there's like a big gap between Autopilot, like crashes per million miles on Autopilot versus the norm, but there is a little bit of discrepancy because highway driving is safer than road driving, so it's not like quite apples to apples, But
what other car company can do that? Is anybody else monitoring their cars continually like that?
Right? And that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, who's actually pushing the envelope on solving this, what it really is, a public health crisis of like tens of thousands of people dying? Who's actually trying to fix it? Tesla. And like so much of that is going to be software. And like, I don't know. To me, that's the thing. It's like, we need to be pushing the envelope on this. And it should be like a whole thing of like, we should be investing government resources in fixing this because so many people are dying. And like, it's causing healthcare bills because everyone ends up in the hospital after a horrible crash. But like, nobody really cares about that side of it. And if you're buying a Tesla, you're not only making yourself safer, but you're making everyone else on the road safer too, because the car is less likely to get into a crash. So there's so many different levels to this, but I don't know. My I'm on the flip side of you guys of like, I was like shedding a tear when Omar and Viv were saying that. But it's like, the good side is at least we have a company who is attacking this for once and trying to solve it versus the status quo of every car company being like, oh, we have 4 stars. Who cares? Like, we're just going to stop there.
Yeah. Yeah. Because those stars are just a marketing thing. It's not like this is really the safest vehicle. And I think that's what Elon said to us in his interview with us, is he had said that you got to make the most compelling product, and the best way to do that is through companies, right? I think that you had actually made a comment about that, being, this is the most innovative way, where the motivation is like, how can we make it better? How can we do it better? So people will want to buy our product, and safety is one aspect of that, but in all aspects, the Tesla is better. It's incredible. So Vincent, you got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think I share the same thought with Viv about I'm actually quite disappointed with the media. Like the safety and the FUD actually is kind of related. Like they've been talking a lot about how unsafe the Tesla is, but which is not the true picture of the story, and especially for some headlines talk about like, oh, there's a Tesla China vehicle crash. When I click inside, it talks about NIO. It's like, it's not even related to the headline. It's just for the clicks, So yeah, like the media should give like a clear message, like the true story to the audience, That's what I thought.
Well, you do a great job though, sharing the actual real data, response to that. So I think that's why Elon retweets your stuff and likes a lot of your stuff, especially China related, because you're saying this is the real media,
the real stuff. Yeah,
yeah, the real story, exactly.
Definitely.
So, yeah, and like recently, I always go to Reddit. Actually, it's quite useful, the Reddit, the Tesla Motors chat. I was like, wow, a lot of good info in there too,
It's awesome. Yeah, it's all secondary. The mainstream media, I think, is secondary now, the way that we don't trust the information there anymore. So it's plus we're having a different experience, and we have the knowledge firsthand. So it's almost like they're listening to us, and they still get it wrong though, because they don't understand. If they just all get Teslas, they would know. Anyway, so what about you, Earl? You got some closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before in some other stories, but I had almost lost my wife in 2018. She had a basilar aneurysm hemorrhage that was unexpected. She's recovered, but it sure taught me a lot about risk. Mm-hmm. And it really made me think about ways that you can limit your risk. And getting in a car accident is, getting in a car is one of the most dangerous things that you do every single day. And I know that when my family's in my car and I have Autopilot on and I have 8 cameras and radar and I can see cars through the fog and it's going to turn for me and I'm not exhausted, I'm a better driver, I'm not speeding, and I know if the worst happens and we are in an accident, it's probably less likely that we're going to be injured compared to another car. So I really feel, like I said before, unsettled when my family's in a different car. And that's just how it is. And that comes with experience. Like Omar said, I've driven thousands and thousands of miles on Autopilot. And I've had times where a car has hit their brakes, 2 cars ahead, and I couldn't see it. And my car slowed down nice and slow because it already saw it. And then the car in front of me jammed on their brakes. Well, what if I was tired at that time? I had a semi come over in my lane, and Autopilot just got over to the right with it and got back over when the semi went back. So things like that really convince you that it's good tech. Of course, it's not perfect. Of course, you need to pay attention. It's not fully self-driving. Don't pretend to go to sleep like people do on the internet. It's here to stay, and it's only going to get better with the new hardware and new software coming out. So, I think that's really important. So,
Well,
put your dogs in frunks.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you, Earl, and thank you, crew. It was awesome to have everybody, and we can't wait to do the next one. So, yeah. Thank you. Peace out. Turbo
Thank you.
Tesla.
All right.
Thank you.